Robert Becker, or headed by Dr. Becker, at the VA hospital. It's just remarkable how everything goes back to the great visionary and inventor, Nikola Tesla. Everything here that I'm talking about all stems from a man who lived over 100 years ago, and he created this world for us that's not only given us entertainment and convenience, but it's returning our health to us. I can't think of one thing in medicine that does not go back to Nikola Tesla. I got another interesting case. This is a strange case. But now think about this once again. You're in the cold, cruel operating room, sterile field, sterile environment. You can't hear anybody because they're mumbling under their mask. And a guy comes in with a head trauma. And his skull's broken. It's separated. And when you have a head trauma, your brain matter turns into pudding. It starts dripping out. Horrible case. And they're scooping it up to try to save it. Don't know. Nobody knows what they're going to do with this stuff. And they called me to come in because with the heart-lung machine, I can cool everything down really cold. So what we did is we instituted bypassing this guy. Heart-lung machine was gone. Femoral vein, femoral artery. Sucked it out, pumped it back in, cooled this guy way, way down, as cold as we could get him, close to 0 centigrade as we could, without freezing him. And then they opened his head. Now, because of the cold, and there was still blood flow into his brain, his gray matter started firming up. And nobody knew what to do. They got fluoroscopes in, looking at it, looking around, they're probing around, they're pulling things apart. They could fix vascular things, but neurons, they didn't know. So they called biomedical engineering. The guy came in and said, yeah, since it's that cold, if you want to reattach it, just use an x-ray. So we got the portable x-ray machine in there, and it worked. Nobody could explain it. It was only reported once, and it was in the New England Journal. And it was from Hahnemann. That happened at Hahnemann Hospital years ago. The reason I found it interesting is because this man that had the head trauma, when he came in and they cultured him, he was the first person who was set up to be the donor for the heart and lung for then Governor Robert Casey. But because we saved him, he couldn't donate his organs. There were people from the state police who were thoroughly upset that night. Luckily for Governor Casey, they found another donor a few hours later. That's another thing that's fascinating, what I've done in my career. By the way, I no longer work in cardiac surgery. I do sports medicine now. I've done everything cardiac medicine I could do. It just doesn't interest me anymore. But some of the things I have done are fascinating. There's a strange thing that occurs, though. We have pills. Take a pill to fix you. Get the right machine in here, we can fix you. Something's missing in medicine now, and it's not his fault. It's our fault. It's healing. Nobody really knows what healing is. We can recognize it when you are healing, but we don't know what healing is. We can't pinpoint healing. And because, especially the great philosophers of our day, people like Daniel Callahan and Peter Singer, who I despise a lot, they're the bioethicists everybody follows now. We have come down to being nothing more than a bunch of chemical reactions and electrical impulses. It takes the humanity and the sanctity of life out of medicine, and it's something that I refuse to accept. When I started medicine, it was not only unheard of, but it was a criminal act to deprive a patient of liquids, of food, and air to breathe. Now it's common. Everybody knows the Terry Schiavo case. You know, stop her IV, she's dead already. Well, she was not dead, she was breathing, and they turned her fluid off. And that comes down to the concept in medicine and the lack of healing, that we're just an electrical impulse. We're nothing more than a chemical reaction you would see in a high school chemistry lab. It's not true. We're each unique, and the sanctity of life needs to be brought back into medicine. And that's why I had to stop doing cardiac surgery, because in cardiac surgery, the whole concept now is that if you have a brain injury, or if you are over 70 years old, you're not worth fixing anymore. You're a burden to society, and you will not be treated. I just can't accept that. So I went into sports medicine. So, and it's a great job too. I work with the United States ski team, and it was awesome. Did anybody see the Olympics this past winter, the Winter Olympics yet? Anybody remember Lindsey Vonn?
Yep.
Do you remember when she was on the giant slalom and she fell and broke her finger?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know it healed in 24 hours? Because after we got her off the hill, we put one electrode pad here, one on the tip of her finger, and ran a current for 24 hours, and it healed that fast. That's exciting stuff. Luckily it wasn't her leg, but she refused that same treatment for her shin splints, which is a shame. She decided to go with the ancient tradition from Austria of wrapping your leg in gauze with cheese. She swore it helped her. Now, I'm not going to say psychologically it did not help her. I will say, though, she's very fortunate that the weather was horrible. It was too warm to ski, so she got an extra 4 days rest. But if after we fixed her finger using the electric treatments, I think she was very, very happy. And she'll probably use that again. We're actually leaving tonight. We're doing a ski trip down in Patagonia, southern tip of Chile, and we were challenged. The Olympic team was challenged by the Paralympic team, and we are skiing against them in an equal contest, except the regular Olympic team, we can only ski on one ski. So I wonder how many broken bones I'm going to be treating in the next few days. It should be fun. I got to go back into the problems, not associated with Tesla, but associated with what we've done. And get a little bit into the dark side. You know, anything that you can have to use can be a good thing, but it can also be used for the wrong thing. Good and evil grow out of the same tree, as in the Garden of Eden. The defense intelligence and central intelligence since World War II have used quite a bit of Tesla's concepts. You know, after he died, you know, they raided his apartment, they stole all his stuff, they took it. And we know some of the things that they've used here. The use of electromagnetic fields, because it can help a person who's psychotic, it can also make you psychotic. They've used it in very drastic ways. There was a situation in San Francisco, 1988, called Sleeping Beauty. On the top of the federal building in San Francisco, the Central Intelligence Agency put microwave antennas there, and they bombarded the population in the summer night. And what they wanted to do was determine if they could create a panic situation, and they did. They bombarded the people for about 2 hours, and then they checked police reports, see how many riots, fights, how many stores were broken into. The dramatic increase in 24 hours was just unbelievable. The police force was stretched to the limit. The CIA never even told the local police what they were doing. But it was published a few years later from a Freedom of Information Act request. The use of electromagnetics for mind control can be very good to help people who have schizophrenia, people who are psychotic, and people with brain injuries. It can also be used along with propaganda to release other chemicals